Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Northwest Access TV, the For the Record St. Albans Today show, a day after Town Meeting Day in Vermont. Thanks for joining us here. Happy to have Tim Smith, the mayor of St. Albans City, halfway through his two-year term, and happy to have Bruce Cheeseman, the vice chair of the St. Albans Town Selectboard. And again, it's a live show, at least if you're watching us live, and love to get calls. I would think you might have some comments or questions after Town Meeting Day, but in any case, love to have you check in if you so desire. Our numbers on the screen, 528-5315. I guess we'll start with the town. A little more going on yesterday in the town than the city, Mayor, but congratulations, easy budget approval, which was pretty much the one item on the warning there. And also city councilors, Tim Hawkins in Ward 1, Jim Pelkey in Ward 2, winning 3-year terms unopposed. But decisive approval for the budget, though.
Yeah, the budget, the disappointing piece was...
Boy, turnout, when I voted at about 9 o'clock, it was pretty much, just had City Hall to myself. Under 10%, I didn't see a figure. Was it under 10%, I'm guessing? How many voters do you know?
I don't know what the actual voters are. Well, the population's 67, so...
I think Corey said checklist, I think she added about 5,100 or something.
What it is, yeah.
But yeah.
10%.
Pretty
you know,
quiet.
the town had 1,000, right?
Yeah.
So the town doubled what the city had for output, which
with
was...
probably about the same number of registered voters. Do you know what your checklist is, Bruce?
A little over 4,000.
Yeah. No, he obviously did better.
Yeah.
Of course, the contest in the town getting attention in the Department of Public Works garage, and second time around, with I'd say a pretty good deal for taxpayers. Decisive approval for moving the Department of Public Works from the Bay to town-owned property on Brigham Road. So you got, as I said, if you didn't get approval for that, given the funding mechanism, I would have said, boy, folks, maybe you better find another line of work. But
well, I got to tell you, we were
got to be happy you got that.
We were wondering what we were going to do if it didn't pass. I mean, what else can you do when there's...
Again, we're talking no property tax money. It's mostly funded by LOT, the local option tax money, and you got some grant for the salt shed, I guess?
Yes, yeah, we got over $300,000 for the salt shed, and there's no tax money at all going into it. You know, it's... We've been banking, putting that money away from the LOT tax, and knowing that, you know, we wanted to use it on a real major project.
Yeah.
And we couldn't have picked a better one than the Public Works Department.
Getting what, about $800,000 a year for LOT money? Is that what the town's?
About $800,000 a year, yeah.
And this is the first time you're using any of that?
Well, it's the first thing. I think the only other money that we spent out of it is in preparation for the new for the new Public Works Department, in engineering and so forth.
And again, you'll move on that. We'll see activity on this come spring, as soon as you can.
You're going to see activity on it as soon as the ground thaws, hopefully.
June.
I think we don't go to Act 250 on it.
Is that right? You don't have to deal with Act 250?
Don't have to. And it's been planned for a long time. I mean, as you know, we've been working we've been working really hard at this for the last 4 years, trying to put it together after it failed 2 years ago.
Was it two years ago it went down? Okay.
Yeah, 2 years ago, and we decided that, we just had to come up with a plan to present to the voters that would work.
Yeah.
And the plan is just like you tell your kids, save your money. And that's what we did. And the vote was, it was overwhelming, actually.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, probably the only concern, I guess, might have been the townspeople didn't realize that it wasn't going to cause some tax dollars. Did you run into folks, anybody saying it still sounds like it's too expensive a project or anything?
Yeah, we did, and I got to tell you what, I got to compliment Carrie Johnson for the work that she did. Town manager, worked really hard on it, at it, and Matt, the gentleman that we picked up to do the owner's rep type work. He worked hard, and it worked out. Not to say to take anything away from the rest of the selectmen too. We all worked hard on it, and I think we did all we could to explain to the public, that it wasn't going to cost them any money, and I think we did a much better job than we did 2 years ago. 2 years ago, we kind of took a few things for granted, thinking that we wouldn't have a problem because most people knew what the existing property was like, but we had a problem. So
construction time frame on the new site on Brigham Road? We're talking
I think we're going to be looking at somewhere around 12 to 16 months, 16
Yeah.
months probably.
Yeah. So next year, DPW should be out there at
I
some point
certainly
later
hope
next
so.
year.
Yeah,
And
beautiful building too.
Yeah. And you'll obviously be giving attention. That begs the question, what's going to happen to the current site? I guess we'll see.
Yeah, yeah. We're going to be looking for a lot of input from the public on that one, and we just want to do what there's a lot of talk about. There was some talk about giving it to Fish and Game
Oh, yeah.
and putting in another access to Lake Champlain,
Huh.
public access.
Yeah.
But that's just one of the several things that we talked about. But we want to make sure we do the right thing when we get ready to make a final decision. And the voters are going to play a big role in that, townspeople rather.
Of course, the other issue in the town getting a lot of attention yesterday, a contest for the select board. And Bill Nye, the select board chair, being challenged by Jessica Frost. And,
Right.
and a decisive win. Again, we were on the air last night for a couple of hours. But I kind of thought Bill Nye might be in trouble, but certainly the margin, Jessica Frost won a very decisive victory. I think the margin probably surprised, I know yourself, most folks, I guess.
Right. I talked to Bill last night after the polls closed, and he knew that he was probably in for a run for his money, and that he actually thought that he mentioned to me that he didn't think that he was going to
Really?
get reelected, but I don't think he expected the outcome to be what it was.
Yeah.
Bill, I got to tell you, he's a good guy. He's put 15 years in on the
All right,
select board and given up a lot of time.
Boy, how many meetings? I hate to think how
Oh,
many
God.
meetings that is.
And we all. There's been times where Bill and I just totally disagreed on stuff, but Bill's the type of guy that you could argue with and walk out of the meeting, and then you're still friends.
Yeah.
He's that type of guy. But Bill played a big role in us getting to the point where we now have a new public works garage.
And he was an opponent the first time around. I think he thought it was didn't he call it a Cadillac project?
No,
thought it
he
was
called
two,
it,
not Cadillac?
I can't remember.
Mahal,
the word.
wasn't it?
Taj Mahal.
Taj Mahal Cadillac.
Yeah,
I'm
but
way off.
Bill was one of the guys that really fought for the
Okay.
LOT, for the 1% sales tax.
Yeah. Yeah. And just with regard to this show, I traded messages with Bill Nye today, but again, this show's been on the air, I think, for about 15 years, and the guests are the key. Typically, invite the mayor and the select board chair in St. Albans town. In this case, the select board vice chair, as the town at this moment doesn't have a select board chair, but the guests are the key. And I told Bill Nye's been great, totally dependable about coming out
absolutely.
here for a lot of shows, and he and everybody else is busy, so I certainly appreciate the time he gave to Northwest Access TV, and hey, who knows what the future brings. But yeah, someone who's devoted a ton of time to the town. That said, Jessica Frost, a lot of connections, sounds like she should be a fine addition to the select board.
Well, what little I know about Jessica, and a few times that I've met her, I've been impressed with her. I like her. She has a sense of, when you talk to her, you get a sense of honesty, and somebody that's true. And to me, that means a lot. If I have to doubt a person's honesty, I'm just not going to put a lot of time in.
Tim, you know Jessica?
Yeah, friends of the family.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here thinking, does this signal a little change in demographics in the town? I mean, Jessica's
could be younger female.
younger
Absolutely.
woman with 3 young kids, all in the elementary schools.
You got to think that connection might have been a big help for her with
Yeah,
her
and if
SATEC
you have more and
connection.
more young families, I think you have more and more young families in the town.
Right?
So she's connected with those, connected with people through Rise VT. So our paths, our family's paths cross a lot with the Frost, and I think she'll do a good job. I think I think she's community minded. I mean, I think her focus is going to be a lot of community type stuff, whether it's walking paths or bike paths or events or whatever it is. I think that's where, I don't know this, but I'm guessing that's where a big part of her focus will be moving forward. So I think she'll do a nice job. You touched on Bill. I've dealt with Bill in a variety of different capacities over the years, probably the main one being with FCIDC. Bill should be commended for his commitment to the town.
Yeah.
I just think, I just think that this signals a little transition in the demographics of the town.
Yeah, it could be. And again, I believe Jessica Frost, I think, is only the fourth woman to be elected to the St. Albans Town Select Board. Bunny Beard, Carol Winchester early on, and Kathy Middlemiss after them. And I think Jessica's just the fourth woman.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we'll
She's
see.
going to do a good job. I think that she's the right age. She's experienced life a little bit. She's raising children. Yeah. I think she'll do a good job. I look forward to working with her.
And I should note there was an uncontested right. Brendan Deso winning another term, re-elected, had no opposition, winning a 2-year term. So he's back on the board. And your next meeting, obviously, you've got some, I guess, reorganization to do.
Yeah.
That next meeting is
The 18th.
The 18th.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, so changes in the town. Tim, I've never seen a city, again, the one item was the budget. I didn't miss anything yesterday.
No, you didn't.
I've never seen such a just sparse kind of interesting.
And
But of course, you had covered a lot of ground in previous years.
Right.
The sidewalk issue, the wastewater bond a year ago.
And the TIF, all the
And
TIF
not
projects.
to mention, so thank you, not to mention all the tax increment financing. Projects. So there's
yeah,
been a lot going on, obviously.
And the turnout reflected that.
Yeah.
As I said earlier, city had 500 plus. I don't think we hit 600.
Yeah.
The town hit 1,000.
Low on both sides.
Yeah.
Very low.
So, but even you guys were less population, yet double the out.
Yeah, no, it sounds like maybe 10% or so in the city.
Yeah, it's I look at what I was trying to think of ways to try to increase that.
Yeah.
I look at what Swanton did with they did a little chili.
They had the chili cook-off.
And that wasn't
for
for
the info meeting.
That wasn't for the town meeting, but it was more of
For the info meeting thing. Yeah, good idea.
They had the most people there that they've had. It'd be nice just to have some interaction. We did a budget meeting and no one showed. I guess you can say
just about literally nobody, hardly anybody.
we joked that Marty Manhan showed. I'm not sure if he was a citizen or an employee, but he was the only one in the audience. So.
Yeah.
I think for that purpose, we had him as a citizen.
Yeah.
What do you do? And maybe it speaks to the comfort of management at City Hall and what's happening. And I think for the most part, people are happy with what's happening in the city.
Yeah.
And maybe this reflects it. You'd still like to have the input, no doubt, but so we'll knock that around a little bit and try to figure out how we can.
I think the turnout was kind of low statewide, though, wasn't it? I know Milton is over 8,000 people. They only had like 1,200 show up. Yeah.
I get.
So I don't think it's. I don't think it's.
No, I don't think it's just here.
Here.
I mean, I just get the sense. I think I mentioned it every town meeting. It just seems like the institution, which I love. I can remember some of my earlier town meetings up here decades ago, which were pretty lively. It just seems, in general, like town meeting just seems to be fading a little more each year. Maybe that's me, but that's certainly my sense.
I think you're correct on that.
Yeah.
We increased our voters by moving it out of the Bay up to Collins Pearl.
Yeah.
And it went up for a while. Now it seems to be going the other way again. So.
Yeah. No, it's discouraging. I'm sure for elected officials, it's got to be very, very discouraging.
Yeah.
Another issue in the town yesterday, Bruce, St. Albans Museum, where I spent a little time today, but again, the article before voters was whether to approve a $15,000 allocation to the museum for the next 5 years, and again, decisive approval for that.
I was very happy to see that happen. I think that the approach we took was the correct one. I mean, when you go from a $5,000 donation to $15,000, that's quite a bit of money. Over a period of 5 years, that's $75,000. Yeah. And that's a lot of money to the voters, the taxpayers' money to dedicate. The other thing I wanted to make sure of, and one of the reasons why we wanted to take it to the voters, is that if we were going to commit to $15,000 a year, we wanted to make sure that we were going to be able to come across with the money. Yeah. Everybody's enjoying good times right now. I mean, if things go south on us and money starts getting slim again, then, first thing you start looking at is donations. And donations, sometimes you have to whittle them down a little bit. Yeah. But in a case like this, where they're going to the voters have approved the $15,000 a year for the next 5 years. The only way that can change is taking it back to the voters for a decrease. Yeah. So they're solid. Yeah. They can look at $75,000 out of the town of St. Albans without any doubt whatsoever.
They're helpful to the museum for their planning, obviously. and
Right. I
so-
mean, yeah. I mean, I think that would be quite comforting to them, knowing that that's 75 grand. And I'm, the other donors, donations, I'm sure will be there. But like I said, if you run into some tough times, those are the areas you've got to cut.
Yeah.
You can't do it in manpower. You can't do it in equipment. You've got to look at your donations and stuff and cut back a little bit there, because we give out quite a bit of money every year. And we're fortunate because we do have the LOT tax. I mean, we can pay for the Public Works building this year, and next year have another $800,000 set in that kitty.
With a new municipal building possibly looming on the horizon.
That is number 2. In our priority list, we set 5 priorities, top priorities. Number 1 was DPW, number 2 was the town office. And we're definitely going after that one next.
Yeah. Tim, just want to mention the museum on the city side. Again, you went just including it in the overall budget. And again, $15,000 also from the city.
Yeah, we were at 10, bumped it to 15.
As you bumped it up 5.
I think it was important for us to have town on the same page.
Yeah.
I think it's a valuable asset. I think Alex Lenning has done a wonderful job with the museum. Their attendance continues to rise during the summer months. I think the Bliss Auditorium is a great asset.
I was here today for a little bit of the Osher Ali UVM lecture.
Yeah. And
at the beginning of it.
So I think it's a great asset for the region, not just St. Albans City or St. Albans Town. I think it's a great asset. They're doing another event for Women's History Month, March 30th. It looks like a great event that they're combining with the artists in residence. And that's just one of many activities they have going on. I just can't say enough about the effort that Alex puts into making that a destination for people, not only tourists, but local residents also.
My kid logged some volunteering time there. He's having a great time. But no, Alex and company and the board seem to be purposely trying to get it just kind of a higher profile and getting more involved in the community. But I agree, tremendous asset for the community.
I think Charlie Moore deserves a lot of credit there too, because Charlie puts in a lot of time, a lot of effort.
They've got some great people. Yeah.
And we got to do something with that, because that was an important part of the past, and is just as an important part of the future to have it around.
For folks who haven't checked out the museum, I think they'd be surprised for the biggest community, St. Albans. It's a pretty impressive museum.
It is. Just a quick story. We had lunch with Charlie yesterday on another topic, and I think Dominic asked Charlie how he ended up on the museum board. And Charlie said, when I first moved here, they thought I had money, and they recruited me, but they found out otherwise, he said.
Well, when I see Charlie, my first question is usually in Amtrak Vermonter. Charlie, we're going to get it to Montreal at some point. Did that issue
that came up, that was part of our conversation.
Does it sound like
yesterday.
it's getting closer? It sounds like there's incremental progress.
The running joke was in 2 more years. Which has been
as in free beer tomorrow on the top of the bar sign, free beer tomorrow.
It's like
I hope it's getting closer.
Every year it's 2 years away too.
Right.
But we met with Charlie and an individual from the rail network, and they are optimistic that is going to happen someday. But things move slowly on the federal level and international on top of that. So it was a topic. I think it would be great if, and the other topic we talked about was the bud cars, the sort of single cars, that almost like a subway car that can run individually and hold 100 people, and the potential for it to go between St. Albans and Essex.
Yeah, that gets that issue gets some attention anyway.
David Blittersdorf, he bought the cars.
Wind turbine guy, right.
So that was part of the discussion, but it would be, like I said, it'd be great if we ever get the system in place where we can go to Montreal. These bud cars would be, head up on a Friday and be a great, come back on Sunday. And
so they're privately owned right now?
It's privately owned by David Blittersdorf. He has, I'm not sure what the structure is, Bruce, but it's something that they're having many conversations about. They're going to the legislature here soon to talk about having that. Ultimately, it's St. Albans to Montpelier with a stop in Essex, but so it's an ongoing discussion.
I guess there was some concern about Amtrak Vermont, or just whether it would hang in with Vermont with the safety device issue there. But I guess we're okay. There was even a
Went back and forth for a while.
Yeah,
and
January 1st, a possibility that Amtrak Vermonter would be stopped running with the new year. But I guess there are a number of states that don't have that, whatever the safety thing is. So we still have the Amtrak Vermonter. So speaking of the possibly new municipal building, Bruce, that'll get a fair amount of attention this year from the Select Board.
Yeah, it certainly will. We've got to get things going with the new DPW. I mean, we've got a lot of work in front of us there. But once we get that on track, we're going to start concentrating on the new town office.
So you've got a prospective site for that?
Well, we've got a possible site for it. I'm not sure if everybody's sold on the site yet, but yeah, we're looking at a site over on 104.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, so DPW, and that'll be again a key issue this year for you folks.
I think we'll have a little bit. There are a lot of people in a town that would like to see us renovate the existing location, but the problem we have there is that the building is basically on a postage stamp. We can't expand.
You can't expand.
We could expand if we bought a couple of buildings next to us. But when we did a survey as to what it would cost us to either renovate or build,
as much to renovate as build a new building.
It costs us as much to renovate as it would to build, because that's a very old building.
Yeah.
It needs a lot of work.
How old is that building?
Oh my God! Wow.
City Hall's
130.
130
or so.
It's got to be. Well, it's got to be at least 130 years old.
Is it really? Wow.
Yeah, very expensive to run, very expensive to maintain. That's something that people really don't take into consideration either.
Yeah.
You know, even when you're building new buildings, the cost of the building is one thing, but then you've got to budget the maintenance of it. You know, you've got to do preventive maintenance, so it really is costing a lot of money to keep the building going down there.
Yeah. Tim, are you going to jump in on that at all?
Before you got on that, I was going to ask, I mean, you're faced with the same dilemma as the Public Works garage. What do you do with the building moving forward? And I was just down meeting with Carrie last week. It's a beautiful building, you know, the upstairs and the renovations that I don't know when those were done, but, you know, it's a great building.
Yeah.
It is.
But I understand Bruce's concerns for sure.
Yeah.
That would be a really big decision as to what to do with it after.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of hard to rent to somebody. It's not ADA accessible. Somebody would have to invest a lot of money to bring it up to those standards, even if we were to turn it into a museum of some sort or something. I mean, both floors have to be accessible to the public. Either that or close the second floor down, one or the other.
Sell it as a home?
Sell it as a home, duplex.
Well, it'd be a nice place to live. I've always loved St. Albans Bay. I'd love a nice brick home down in the bay.
But unfortunately, I don't think you could put a real big dollar value on that property and build it, because of the cost to bring it up to code. And then there's really no land there.
Is that on obviously septic, right?
Oh yeah, and there's a septic system. Well, it's actually a mound system.
You did put some money into that at some point, huh?
We put about $20,000 or $30,000 into a mound system that only has a 20-year life expectancy. So it's nothing more than it's like a kitty litter box, you know.
Speaking of septic, might as well lead me into my usual monthly question again. The town didn't fare well with the latest litigation with the city on water, wastewater. Anything going on the town's end on that point, Bruce?
I'm hoping that, you know, we could both sit back and take a deep breath and say litigations are over in my book. I couldn't understand why we went in the last one to be.
I think you folks have both spent just a few bucks on that issue over the years.
Couple.
Hate to think how many hundreds of thousands of dollars.
So
you'd like to see the end of litigation anyway?
Absolutely. There's no need for it. I think if we both sat back and took a couple of deep breaths and sat down I'm still confident that if we sat down, there's something we could work out. I feel very confident about that.
And I'd add that before my time, I think you were close twice.
Yes.
I mean,
wasn't there even agreement on a city-town committee about how to go?
Bruce knows more about it than I do, but you know, they had the they did have language, and there was
Yeah.
the
I mean,
questioning.
we
of-
were very close. That's why I felt so confident. I told you
Yeah,
on this show
you
that
did.
I thought by the end of this year we might be able to do something.
Yeah.
And I felt confident about it. I liked what we had on paperwork. There's a couple of things we had to iron out, but it just didn't happen. But I think we should actually try to pick up where we left off.
Yeah. Now, the town has looked into, you've done some studies, has looked into possibly going its own way. Is that still, again, price tag just seems like it's
You know,
incredible if you were to do that.
that possibility is there. I think we're looking at, from what I heard and what feedback came to us, is that you're looking at probably around $60 million.
Wow.
And then it's just a lot of work and very time consuming.
But even then, you don't.
That's
you
not
probably
even
don't
covering-
even
And we don't
touch-
cover the whole town.
Yeah,
And that's not even
exactly.
picking up the
No,
whole
that's
town.
only the south end of town. Or excuse me. Yeah, the south end of town. That's
Yeah.
it. We're not even talking about getting down into the bay.
Hard to picture that being.
Well, it's the geographics actually that kills you
Yeah.
because like everybody knows, the town is a donut, and the city's the hole inside the donut. And how do you construct a sewage treatment plant
Yeah.
to cover all those homes and businesses? You don't.
Yeah.
Not one. You don't.
Yeah.
60 almost seems cheap in this day and
Yes.
age.
Yeah.
Wow.
When you-
In Colchester, they had the issue on Mallett's Bay yesterday. I think that was about a 14.3 mil. That went down.
Oh, it did go down. I
I
didn't see
heard
that.
Senator Moss on VMT talking, saying, hey, it's got to start somewhere, but that went down, I think, by about 100 or 200 votes, but it was
Was that?
defeated.
From my work perspective, there's
Yeah.
a lot of conversation. Montgomery's having the conversation
Yeah,
about
they're
smaller
talking about it.
wastewater systems.
Yeah.
There's a push with regional planning commissions, mainly from the gentleman from Brattleboro. They're pushing to have, the small septic systems being a part of land and water conservation, not land and water, but community development block grants, being eligible for those and trying to improve technology and trying to set some standards for small septic systems in community villages. And I mean, that we talk about rural economic development, and that's a sort of the hot topic in the State House.
Yeah.
But septic is one of those issues that can make a difference in a lot of,
Yeah.
I look down at the old Traders Way building. I mean, that's a great build. People love it. I mean, but it's got the septic is minimal, right? I mean, you couldn't do a commercial. You couldn't do a commercial venture, a restaurant, or I don't think, anyways. That's what I'd heard. So that would, a small septic system in the bay would make a huge difference.
Interesting.
It's it's just something that we're going to have to deal with.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to have to. We don't know. Hopefully, the marina is going to fare well this year. I know toward the end of the year last year, it didn't work out too well for them.
And they got off to just kind of a
They got off
bit
to
of a late start.
Yeah,
which hurt
but
them, I'm
this year,
sure.
I think with the right weather, I think that thing is gonna take off.
I think it is.
And that's gonna, in my opinion, and with the failing septic systems that we have down in the bay right now, I think that's gonna force us to do something. I mean, we can't, it's a subject that's gotta be dealt with. And I think the quickest, easiest, cheapest way is to partner with the city.
Interesting. I wish you luck. How's work going on the city's wastewater plan in the wake of approval a year ago of the big bond
Yeah,
issue?
actually,
Tom?
ran into one of the guys working on it. He came in to vote last night, and they're looking at an October completion.
Oh yeah.
They're hopeful that they get out in September, but hoping to. I mean, the original deadline I think is October, but
Yeah.
they're trying to get out a little earlier. Winter's been hard on it.
Yeah.
The winter conditions and trying to do what they need to do in
I
these
bet.
conditions has been difficult. A
And,
little more
and
costly.
part of that, maybe a small part, is reducing the amount of phosphorus going into. Is that even part of that, or is that not even part of that?
Not even part of it.
This is just more bricks and mortar
It has
kind of.
more treatment capacity.
Oh yeah.
So
Okay. Anyway, so that's going. Sounds like it's
yeah, it's
moving
going.
along.
Yeah, I don't think there's any major hurdles that they've come across.
We talked about, of course, the town's DPW garage. City DPW. Mr. Manahan still wearing his second,
He
third,
is,
fourth
yeah.
hat.
Yeah.
Is that, are you still looking for a permanent?
In
head honcho
conversation
there?
with one individual.
Yeah.
I haven't been privy to all those conversations, but
Yeah.
I know they're still going on.
Yeah,
So they're hopeful on that piece of it.
yeah. And the big city project, Tim, with the North Main Street, the city police department moving to CCV headquarters, CCV moving downtown, new building down that way. How's that? Is there movement there?
Progressing, there's probably the most recent conversations have been focused on historic preservation and how do you mitigate what's being removed. So that's a conversation, I
So
think.
they're concerned. Is there concern about some of the buildings on North Main or Maiden? They can't be concerned about the Maiden Lane apartment building, can they?
I don't think so. Concern maybe
No offense to the Maiden Lane apartment building.
Dick Hungerford be rolling over in his grave.
But the North Main Street buildings have some.
Yeah, I don't, a concern might be a strong word. I mean, they're looking, there are some construction details that they would like to mitigate in the new building, so they're trying to figure out how that would be done moving forward. But I don't think there's, I don't believe there's any roadblocks for sure in that discussion. I think I'm quite sure everyone's on board that the buildings coming down have been adapted so many times that, and the construction has been of very poor quality that the historic preservation value is minimal. So,
Will we see activity there
hoping
this
for
year?
demolition, late spring, early summer.
Oh, really? Okay.
So,
And you have a few tenants in the Maiden Lane
I
apartment
think we're
building?
down to 8, if
Oh,
I'm not
really?
mistaken. So they've many have either been relocated or have found other housing. So I think we're down to 8 out of 20, originally 24 or 25. So
Sidewalk work in the city?
we'll continue.
Voters approved the bond issue. Was that 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
I think it was 3 years ago.
Maybe 3 years ago. I'm hearing that whatever that bond was, will that not be enough to do all the work you intended to do?
Yeah, we've come across some increased costs for whatever reason. We're trying to address some other issues. One, for example, is on Lincoln Avenue, which sidewalks will be done this summer. In that, I don't know if you've been privy to it, but in that Lincoln Ave between Upper Weldon and Diamond, there's a spring that comes down a gentleman's driveway, and ice buildup is substantial every winter. So we're going to use some money to put in a catch basin, try to keep that clean. So if we come across those problems, we're trying to address them at the same time. So that has put us over budget a little bit.
Might have to go back for.
I'm not sure what the plan is, whether we do a little bit each year to get caught up and keep it in the normal budget, or ask for another bond. But
And speaking of Upper Weldon Street, it blows my mind when I hear about it. Truck traffic being an issue. Have you managed to convince truckers that that's not the best way to get around St. Albans City?
we are residents are getting continually more frustrated.
Blamed on what? GPS for some reason?
GPS, yeah, because of partly due to the light system on Fairfield. Someone wants to avoid, once that's backed up, they'll start cutting down Weldon to get by the light, and that's all. The algorithms take all that into account, and so they're seeing all that traffic.
That's unreal.
And it's
that's not the easiest street for a couple of cars to get by each other.
One tenant sent me a photo of a truck coming off Barlow turning west on Upper Weldon.
Really?
We put with the town's help, we put the solar sign up on top, but that doesn't seem to catch them.
Wow.
We've reached out to the highway department, B-Trans, and trying to get some signage over at the interstate to catch them, and they're not open to that discussion.
Really?
So
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Regional planning has been a big help, reaching out to GPS companies, trying to.
Yeah.
You got to fill out paperwork. You got to educate them about what the situation is, and then they will adapt there. But it's still
So it's still an issue.
still
huh?
an issue. Yeah.
Wow.
And like I
We've
said,
not heard anything at the select board lately on it, though.
yeah, I don't. I mean, we've been addressing it in house, trying to do what we can, but
Really?
it's not so. I mean, there are residents on the upper part of the street, but you've got houses only on one side of the street for the most part, between 105, right, 105 and Thorpe Avenue. So there's a little more flexibility. But when you get down past the playground and Barlow Street and get into Weldon Street below Barlow, then things are tight.
It's pretty tight.
Cars are parked on the side of the road. I mean, so it's become a much more difficult problem to find a solution for. I mean, we know what the solution is, obviously, but
Right.
to move it forward has been difficult.
It can be difficult going down that street in a pickup truck
Right,
sometimes.
right.
No, I mean, even car, it's not the easiest street for cars, especially if you have somebody parked on that street.
Yeah, right.
You know, I look forward to the day, and I hope I live to see them, is when we get all these differences put behind us, like water and sewer.
Yeah.
We have a new town hall. Everything is settled, and we can work on things together, like Burlington's doing, like affordable daycare. You know, the two towns, the city and the town getting together, trying to do something like that to entice businesses, and I hope we can put.
Well, you
a lot
certainly
behind
do
us.
on some fronts. You folks, you know.
Oh, we do. We do
I think
a
you do a
lot
lot
better
better
than
than a
what we
lot of
did.
people think.
A lot better than what we did. I mean, if we could, you know, we work well. It sounds like a broken record, but we work well. DPW, we work well. The fire departments,
Recreation.
Recreation comes to mind. Yeah.
It's just that there's. I think that if we could, water and sewer, I think, is the big thing.
Oh, yeah.
It's a big thing.
Sure seems like it.
And we had such a good plan put together. I mean, with the previous mayor and Dominic, you know, the program that we had put together to promote both the city and the town was really exciting. And I'm sad that really never got pulled off.
Tim, City Police Department, how are you doing staffing-wise at this point?
Bruce may know better than I.
Bruce,
I
we got a
haven't
handle on.
Yeah, we got a report. I think he's got, meaning the chief,
Yeah.
there's probably about 6 new people that he's got on board in training. So he's not really understaffed.
Yeah.
He's doing something to promote and enlist people. He's doing quite a bit, actually. He's actually offering bonuses and everything.
Yeah. And
But
help.
he's like, the chief is working really hard at getting his police department up to staff, and I think he's doing a pretty good job. I think there's 5 or 6 people in training, and when we look at something like that, look at people in training instead of 5 or 6 vacancies, then we know he's doing something. The city's helping him to do something. So we're not really too excited about it. We're getting the coverage that we need, and we're getting the attention that we need. So
you're select board still content with the contract with the city PD?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. Chief does a good job of keeping us informed on things. I mean, I'm almost going to say daily reports from the police department at home on my town internet.
Chief is good at you know, if there's a major bust or an accident or whatever.
Oh yeah, you know about it.
We're all on the same email list, and here's what happened. Here's a police report.
And the street crimes unit seems to be doing pretty well, having some success.
Had a major
Yeah.
bust up on Lock Terrace.
Yeah.
I think I'd have to say the chief is as transparent as he can be
Yeah.
without jeopardizing
Yeah.
any investigations or anything he's got going on.
And of course, Gary Taylor also still the fire chief also. Question I always ask:
really?
any talk at all about merger of city and town fire departments these
Another
days?
thing I'd like to see happen. I mean,
but
that was-
does it come up at all at
not
select board
lately.
meetings?
It hasn't come
Richard
up.
has asked that question 12 times since I've been coming to the show.
I know.
We give him the same
Same
answer.
answer? So it doesn't even issue hasn't come up at select
Not
board
lately.
meetings?
No.
Tim,
Well,
not at city council meetings?
No, not at all.
No.
It hasn't been in 12 that I've been attending. There hasn't been a single.
But it seems like you both
But it works fine.
It does.
The two departments work well together.
getting good responses for fires. And,
Yeah, I
It's
haven't heard
almost,
otherwise.
it's almost like it's not broken.
Yeah, I
you know?
hear ya.
So, but
You know, going back to Gary, just
Yeah.
to recognize him,
Yeah.
there's a banquet. Gary, there's a thing in the paper. Gary was selected to the State Colleges Hall of Fame.
No, really.
Going through CCV, and I think he did some time at Johnson as well. But
Good.
he's one of I think 3 or 4 or 5 that will be honored starting at a dinner next Thursday
No, great.
down at Capitol Plaza. So quite the honor. I mean, that takes into consideration VTC, Castleton, Johnson.
Yeah, now Northern Vermont
CCV,
University, Johnson and Linden.
Yep.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Which I don't know if you're going down that road, but I think something that's is becoming a little shocking to me is the closing of the small colleges. We've lost
Oh, boy.
3
Boy,
Yeah.
within this year: Green Mountain, Southern, and St. Joseph's, I guess, is the other.
yeah,
St. Joseph,
College
yeah.
of St. Joseph.
Yeah. So
It seems like I get my Boston papers every day. The Globe seems to have almost a front page story at least once a week on just not Vermont, but New England, just small colleges and maybe beyond. Some pretty tough times for
Well,
small
I
colleges.
don't know if you realize it or not, but St. Michael's College enrollment is down 12% this year.
Is it really?
12%.
Wow. Really?
I don't want to start rumors, but I think someone mentioned to me you might be lucky to see St. Mike's in 10 years.
Is that? Oh, is that
where
is
that
that
was?
right?
Where that discussion
Really?
was based? But it shocked me
Is that right?
for a.
Wow.
Well, it shocked me to find out that, they're
12% is a lot.
12%.
Geez, that's
is a lot.
that's kind of scary.
And then there's someone else on TV.
Wow.
There was a professor talking about the Southern Vermont College closing.
Yeah.
He was adamant that you will be seeing others, and throw St. Mike's into that pile,
Yeah.
but he said you will be seeing well-known
Yeah.
colleges across New England doing the same thing here
No,
in the
it
next.
sounds like it. I'm reading Hampshire College in Amherst, Mass.
Yeah.
Kind of a real kind of innovative college. I think started in 1970. I think those guys have just about had it. But no, there are a lot of small colleges that seem to be in tough shape. But that's interesting. I hadn't heard St. Mike's in that conversation. But talk about a college with a very solid reputation too.
Yeah.
It's really funny though. I did a lot of work at Phillips Exeter Academy
No, really.
in Maine, New Hampshire, and they are still going strong. I mean, the prep school is doing
Of
great.
course, one of the top of the line. I suspect maybe your real top of the line
Yeah.
small colleges are maybe
But
probably doing better.
kids are still coming through there. They're what's happening to them after they leave there, though. I guess that's what I can't understand.
Wow.
I mean, that's a lot of money to send a person to that school,
Yeah.
and then the college enrollments are going down. Colleges are closing. What's happening to kids even after high school? What's happening?
Well, of course.
I'll be the first one to admit that I don't think college is for every kid
you're right.
that graduates from high school.
Yeah,
But
sure, certainly not.
but something's just not right now.
You'd like to think a lot of them are going into the trades because that's where there's a
Boy, talk about
huge
some
void.
good paying jobs, yeah.
with construction foremen,
Right.
heavy equipment operators, carpenters. I mean, there's
Plumbers, electricians,
all
whatever.
that. The need is getting greater all the time.
Really?
At one time when I was working for Pizzagelli Construction, the Pizzagellis were honestly thinking about opening their own trade school.
Oh, is that right? Boy,
Yeah.
it probably wouldn't have been a bad idea.
How long ago was that?
Oh God, 10, 12 years ago.
Really?
They
They
would've
didn't.
been
They didn't do it.
They didn't, no. I mean,
Pizza Galley now PC Construction.
yeah,
Okay.
a totally different organization
Oh, really?
now, though.
Okay.
Because the Pizzagellis, Jim Ramo and Angelo,
Yeah.
have nothing to do with PC
Oh, is that right?
Construction.
Oh, is that
employee
right?
owned?
It's an employee-owned company now.
Oh,
yeah.
really?
They're still very active, and they still own Pizzagelli properties, though.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Tim, your day job, FC, Franklin County Industrial Development Corp. Talk about it a bit, but I mean, just just bodies. I mean, people, just labor shortage.
Oh yeah,
this
no
year.
doubt.
The huge issue out there for you.
Across the board, I think I may have mentioned it last time I was here. Barry Calabo looking to fill 31 positions.
I see Perigo, and Sean Walsh. I see-
Mylan's got signage up.
Boy, it seems like just about everybody. huh?
Yeah, no, there's a lot of openings. If someone wants to work, there's no reason outside of maybe a drug test that prevents them from working.
And even it seems like I'm hearing even some companies are saying we'll look the other way on the drug test if you come in and do some good work.
I think you're
for us,
seeing. I'm
maybe.
going to see. I think you're going to see companies change their whole philosophy when it comes to HR. That I think you will see more openness to hire someone with a record.
Yeah.
Maybe someone who had been an addict. Someone off social services, whatever the case is.
Yeah.
I think the need. I think those are three avenues that have not been explored relative to finding help, and I think as we move forward here in the next 10 years, I think more and more people are going to be open to those discussions.
Yeah.
So
The state of New York is now offering incentives to business people to hire people that are going through treatment,
No,
going through
really?
recovery right now.
Interesting. No, a huge issue. Bruce, back to the town, again, another defeat a couple of years ago was on the rec path, sidewalk, whatever, from Satek to Collins Purley. Is that subject, I know sidewalks have gotten some attention in the town, is that project, might that come back for another vote or something, or where does that stand?
I talked about our 5 priority projects.
Yeah, is
That's
that one of the?
number 3.
That's number 3?
That's number 3.
Okay, so DPW, municipal building, and the
And
the side rec path, sidewalk.
Especially the one going up the exit 19.
Right.
That's number 3.
And while we've got you, numbers 4 and 5.
I can't remember them right now.
That's all right.
I can't because we've been working so diligently at the.
Okay.
Is the dock one of them?
We were talking.
Good question.
The dock what I'd like to see happen to the dock is we did a big study on that. We did we had structural engineers in and everything. I think what we'd like to see happen to the dock is a dock become a pier and not a dock.
Become a pier.
Where people can go out and sit on that thing, put some decent benches out there with lighting.
The Burlington Fishing Pier comes to mind, possibly. It's
Exactly.
nice little pier.
I mean, last thing we want to do is continue to run a dock and be in competition with Chuck. We don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just not good business.
Yeah.
But I think that would be better utilized as a pier than it would a dock. We would have to put less money into it to repair it.
You would ideally raise it. The hope plan to raise it maybe a couple feet. Is
Well,
that?
we wouldn't even have to
wouldn't
raise
do
it.
that.
Repair what it is because after the water level goes down, then people can go out and enjoy it.
Yeah.
And sit there, put lights out, put benches in. People can fish off it. There's a lot of people who go out there and fish now, but make it something that somebody would want to go out and enjoy.
So that issue is getting some
Still there.
attention.
Yeah. The other big one is the Stonehouse in the park.
Okay.
I mean, we're right now.
Classic CCV construction.
Yeah. We've got the windows and doors coming out. They're out to be refaced, recaulked, new glass and everything.
Boy, bathrooms could use some attention if you got some
Bathrooms
money.
are getting attention, and so the lighting.
Right.
We're going to improve the electrical in it as well.
Right.
Our the farmers market did fairly well last year.
I caught that a few times. Looked like it did pretty well.
And this year we're putting a little bit more into it, a little bit more money into it, and on rain days we use the Stonehouse for the market inside.
Right.
So we want to improve that facility.
Certainly keep up in warmer weather with a friend of mine. One of my jobs, we're in the Bay Park at least once a week, but the town, and I certainly commend the staff, the rec parks and rec folks I see down there. I mean, it's kept up very well. It's a nice looking park. It'd be nice if St. Albans Bay cooperated a little more. Just say that when the water gets so low as summer goes on, but you keep up the park. You do a nice job with that park.
We put additional help on last year. We added one more person to it, and Alan, our DPW director, has his hands full.
Yeah.
So that is kind of slowly becoming a separate entity, where they have their own staff and everything. We actually have a foreman that runs the crew, and I think, we had the car show. Alan had the car show down there last year. So, and we've got a few more things that we'd like to do this coming year.
Yeah. Tim, any park news in the city? Taylor Park, is there kind of a master plan for some changes for Taylor Park? Hopefully some more music there this summer, I trust.
No music. Richard.
No. Had enough music for a while.
It brings in a bad clientele. And when I say that, I think of Mrs. Claire Langevin, who attends a Wednesday evening, at 83 or 85 years old and doesn't miss a one,
Yeah.
But the concerts are great, for sure, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
The park, we're taking it probably in phases. We're looking at what the layout of the sidewalks is.
Is that right? Let me come back to that. We've got our first and maybe only call. Thanks, caller. Go ahead. You're on For the Record, St. Albans Today. Fire away.
Yeah, good evening, gentlemen. This is David McWilliams. How you doing?
I thought I recognized that voice.
I recognize the
I
cough.
was with the mayor yesterday, and he bought me a hot chocolate, so I can't call him cheap.
It was a good hot chocolate, David.
David, you're
you
down to
know,
about 3.5 minutes, which you probably know. You don't have much time.
Yeah, and I want to thank Bill Nyan for all the years of service that he put into the town.
Yeah.
He had a lot of expertise, you know, and I do appreciate anybody who sits on that board and goes up there and gets shot at about once or twice a month, you know. So I
Figuratively
had out to
speaking.
Bill Nyan and Bruce. I hope that we'll do something for Bill, like a plaque or something, because you know he deserves it after his many years of service.
We certainly will.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Thanks.
Thanks, David.
Good time. Sorry, back to Taylor Park.
So the first phase is the sidewalk layout's a little bit different, and trying to incorporate the monuments and be aware of the different park activities that are happening there, the farmers market, the wine and cheese, stuff like that. So that is moving forward. Whether it's this year or not, I don't know if that will be the case. Maybe in the fall. But that's and then they're going to be looking at different opportunities, lighting and such.
Yeah.
One thing I would share, and this is, I haven't reached out to Carrie at the town yet, but last year Scott Magnan planted a field of sunflowers in Georgia. I don't know if you're privy to that. Down over the overpass and down, and had 1,400 people attend to show up and have their pictures taken and hang out
really?
and
Wow.
admire the sunflowers and all that. So
Love
he came
sunflowers.
looking for. We talked about doing a sunflower festival, so
Oh,
we're
really?
gonna. I pitched it today to the downtown merchants.
No, really.
I haven't reached out to the town yet, but the field that we're looking at is using one of the vacant fields in the industrial park.
Really?
For people to visit, and so just another activity for the city. We hope to bring the town in some aspect.
Yeah.
And just make it another destination weekend for people to come into the community and hang out and take advantage of what we're doing. And you know, you look. My goal is to get an event once a month that's going to draw people to the region, and I think we're close to that. So,
Great. Good game plan.
I think Taylor Park is beautiful just the way it is right now.
yeah. No,
I really do.
No huge convoy. City Hall Park in Burlington, that shows you got some attention, huh? I guess it's still getting attention. Moreau,
Well-
your fellow mayor getting grief for, I guess, not putting that on the ballot. I guess some of the opponents of that wanted a ballot item that the mayor and the council didn't go along with.
I have spoken to Moreau, and he is pretty much fed up with that
that right?
process.
Not bad.
He's put his foot down.
I heard him on radio this morning, but I don't think City Hall Park didn't happen to come out. They had enough other things to talk about.
I'm waiting to see people tie themselves to the trees they want to cut down.
Anyway, anyway.
Just one last thing. You
Yeah.
talked radio. Ernie
Farrar
was in voting. I talked to him.
Yeah.
His replacements didn't last long.
Boy, that was in. I wish we had
months.
more time
Yeah, I
because
know,
I
we
wake
maybe
up
we-
to that show. I've been on that. I've heard every second of Kurt and Marcus. And of course, I got some angry callers saying, hey, nice of you guys, not those, but nice of the station ownership to throw out
Yeah, Peter and
Peter
Sarah,
and
was it
and
Sarah?
Sarah.
Yeah,
We used to live in Enosburg. Anyway, we're OT. Maybe we'll come back to that another time. Bruce Cheeseman, the Select Board Vice Chair in St. Albans Town. St. Albans Mayor Tim Smith, thanks a lot for joining us.
Thank you, Richard.
Thanks for watching. Thanks to Zach for doing all the hard work. And we'll see you next month with another For the Record St. Albans Today. Thanks for watching. See ya.